Running a business in today's cutthroat landscape is like swimming with sharks. You're either constantly evolving to try and catch up with the next big wave of opportunity, and it looks like you're trying every new trend, finding new ways to stand out and stay top of mind in an attempt to try and keep up with the competition and feeling like you're in an all out war for attention and space. Or you're choosing to go the path less traveled. And let's be real, you're here with me here on the Business Real Talk because you know and believe that sustainable growth is about going where others won't go, about making moves that are calculated and strategic to create growth that stands the test of time and keeps you operating at the top of your game with clients that are getting results.
Why, yes, that's me.
And in last week's episode, we started this Disrupt series where we introduced the power and necessity of disruption in sustainable business growth. We talked about how you can leverage what we call disruptive clarity in your marketing so you can create that pattern interrupt that speaks directly to your high intent and actively seeking crowd while giving them the burst of clarity that instantly creates authority and makes it clear and easy that you are exactly who they need right now. Now, this week, we're going to talk about how once you've developed that shift in thinking for your audience, giving them that burst of clarity that their next big move is with your innovative methods at the forefront. And this week, we're going to talk about that innovation, how to actually leverage that untapped innovation, its hidden or misarticulated genius that has the power to change the world so you can effectively eliminate the competition. So let's get real. With so many businesses vying for the same customers and markets, how do you actually eliminate competition and stand up from the crowd? Because right now, let's be honest, it feels a little bit like you're in a chase to stay top of mind that requires you to religiously stick to posting 2 to 3 times a day, only trying to keep up with those trends that allow you to be seen. Because if you're not, then your followers might move on to the next person. And your brain races with every next offer you need to create to keep up with the Joneses, because if you're not creating a secret offer, a mastermind, a membership, and every other thing out there, then people will find another reason to go work with your competitor. The truth is, those one and done tactics that you've been relying on for years may have given you some temporary relief, but they're not going to sustain you in the long run. Those tactics focus on attention, and attention in a market space is ever changing.
I knew it.
Every new platform leaves you looking for a new way of marketing. Every new wave of entrepreneurs hitting the online space leaves you shouting louder to increase market share. Every new "this is it" guru answer to a prolonged problem leaves you chasing demand, trying to keep up with the next best things. And let's get real. It's freaking exhausting. And frankly, it's keeping your business in chase mode. Why? Because right now you're solving the symptom. And yeah, we can all agree that evolution is important in any industry, but it's turned into a chase for the next newest and shiniest standard that we all have to chase, forcing you to market louder than harder than the rest, reevaluate your offers with every turn, or bring on more team in hopes that that will make the problem go away. But stagnation or unpredictable growth is just a side effect of the real problem. And I'm going to share with you exactly what that problem is. And let me be honest, people will listen to this episode or avoid it at all costs, but you know that we keep it real here. So buckle up because I'm about to give it to you straight.
Let's get it on.
Now, any given business faces one of two realities. Reality number one is to compete based on price or attention. This is where a lot of businesses find themselves. They're fighting to stay top of mind, to create a space and voice for themselves in a sea of copycats. And honestly, it's a tooth and nail fight every day because they're faced with the decision on whether to price themselves competitively, so there's no need to answer the "why should I go with you" question, or they have to influence or persuade by fighting for attention that will hopefully persuade their audience to decide that they're the answer over others. Because truthfully, they're not quite sure why someone should choose them. Aside from the fact that they've got a sparkling personality and they're passionate about helping others, if they were put in a room with 20 other people, their solutions would look eerily similar. And there's no shame in that. I want to be very clear. They started the business for one of two reasons, because they either saw that others were doing this well and they thought, I could do that too. And they came with the idea that this would be the ticket to their freedoms. of financial freedom, lifestyle freedom, time freedoms. They didn't know the how, but they had their eyes locked in on the what. Now, their businesses became a means to an end of creating the dream that they've always wanted their life to look like. And with every next new and shiny promise that gives them the dream with more ease or less effort, they jump because their sights are set on the life that they want. This pathway fits so many businesses that have a passion to want to create the life they want and to serve others to the best of their abilities. They throw their hearts into it, and it can be a deep, meaningful journey for them and their clients. But reality number 2 looks a little different. It's innovation. It's where few businesses will go. An essential driving force to this business was based on seeing an opportunity, a missing piece, and believing that you could solve it. You either experienced the frustration of this missing piece for yourself, you watched a loved one, or simply you had a vision of change around something you're truly passionate about. Your mission is so much bigger than yourself. You know that you were meant to change the world with your way of thinking, and people would be speaking about you for years and years after you're gone. With every day is an opportunity to bring about this change that feels so big. You have an almost insatiable appetite for bringing about this change, and people, they might even call you crazy. And when you speak in a room of copycat businesses, they give you a side eye because they can't fathom the level of change you want to bring about. But let's be real, they don't have the vision you do. A vision of creating a revolution, changing the way things have been done for years or decades or centuries, finding a solution where others turn a blind eye. Like the Energizer Bunny, you are powered with a drive for change and innovation. You don't care what it takes. You just know that this is the movement and change that you are committed to. And you speak with conviction, knowing that the world will forever be changed when you enter a room. You know that this matters, and you know that your message and your method will be the thing that people talk about for years to come. But you didn't come here for the glory. You came here for the change, and you won't stop until that change creates a ripple in the entire world can feel. Because innovation is a calling. It's a I won't stop until it happens feeling that takes over. And some people have it and some people don't. And let's be real, I want to be very clear about this. Innovation isn't a marketing strategy, meaning that we're not just going to make your marketing sound different enough, but still be peddling the same process everyone else is. Now, before I get all the comments and all the hate, I want to be real. It's okay if innovation is not your jam. It's okay if your business is a means to a lifestyle and freedom, and that your goal is to serve and show up to the best of your ability, and that feels like home to you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have clients who come to me with just that intent, and their goal is to take what they do, their solutions, and help people. And I love that. And I really do believe that we can actually build amazing client acquisition systems and marketing messages that let them share that gift with the world and allows them to create a message that shares their story, their desires, and their clients' desires, and still create a deeply connected process. And if that's you, marketing and using disruptive voice is going to be incredibly powerful for what you do. And you can still create your own corner in the market that brings your unique flavor, but keeps it simple. And that is awesome. We're all wired differently. But for those of you listening, thinking to yourself, nope, I want more. I want to change the world in my own way. I have something building inside of me, this vision of change that I know needed to be available when I was struggling, and I will stop at nothing to bring that to the masses.
I'm trying to change the world.
That is innovation, and this is your episode. So let's take a quick second, and I want you to start by asking yourself if you're ready. You're ready to stop chasing after the competition and start blazing your own trail. Are you willing to embrace innovation and take risks to achieve your goal? And are you willing to silence the noise of it's always been done this way, or the fears of watching other people and wondering, do I really have what it takes? The choice is yours, but remember, the competition will always be there. It's up to you to decide whether you want to keep chasing or become the one that everyone else is chasing. So let's get into it, shall we, my innovators? What better way to understand how to leverage your innovation in your strategic growth than to see how other companies have done just that? Now, in 2008, a group of Israeli software developers were frustrated with the limitations of existing navigation apps. They believed that the traditional approach to navigation, which relied just on using pre-existing map data, was insufficient for providing accurate and up-to-date traffic information. Now, those people became the founders of Waze, and they envisioned a community-driven approach to navigation where users could actually share real-time traffic and navigation information with each other. They believed that using this crowdsourced approach would provide more accurate and reliable information than the traditional navigational systems, which again relied on static map data. Now, to turn their vision into a reality, the Waze founders created an app that allowed drivers to report accidents, traffic jams, speed traps, and other hazards on the road. Now, the app's algorithms would then incorporate this information into real-time traffic updates, providing users with the most up-to-date information available. Waze had to compete with more established navigation apps. I'm talking the Google Maps and the Apple Maps, who had already amassed a large user base. But the Waze team persisted. They focused on building a strong community of users and continuing to improve the app's functionality. The app's user base steadily grew, and by 2013, Waze had over 50 million users worldwide. See, Waze understood that they could create an opportunity from a gap that they noticed in the market space. And that's exactly what innovation comes from. It stems from opportunity, seeing where the gap in the market space is, just like Waze realized that relying on those pre-existing map data only left people with slow and frustrating navigation where they'd get there and it would take longer than they expected. It's your job as the innovator to identify what the gap is in your marketplace. Now, some people know this before they even start their business, but they struggle to articulate that gap or to identify how they can actually innovate in that gap. And they spend an entire lifetime trying to put it together. For others, their innovation comes naturally. They're already doing it without even realizing it. But where they struggle is being able to put their finger on exactly what that innovation is, nonetheless, how they can articulate it into the world around them. But I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to tell you the keys to the process remain the same. Whether you're somebody who already knows you have something innovative or you haven't been able to quite identify it quite yet, these are the 4 steps that you need to take in order to bring your innovation to light. Number 1 is identify the gap, okay? We have to know that in any basic operation where we're creating innovation, we need to start by identifying the gap. So for Waze, the gap they identified was that they saw that where traditional navigation systems fell flat was that there wasn't an actual up-to-date scenario where people can see changes as they happened, which meant that people would go onto Google Maps, they would go onto Apple Maps, etc., and they get the directions to where they're going, but they had no idea how long it would take, what to expect, etc. So this is how Waze was able to identify the gap. Now, once they identified the gap, it led to step 2, which is filling the gap, right? It sounds pretty simple, but what they realized was the gap there was that there was no up-to-date traffic navigation system in play. Now, how they filled the gap was their proprietary approach, right? They realized that what they could do to fill for that gap was use crowdsourcing, use the ability of people logging in and sharing data points so that they could have up-to-date traffic. That was how they filled the gap. That is step 2. Step 3 is articulating that innovation with a market resonant message. Now, here's the deal. And I know this is going to be really frustrating to hear, but you could be the most innovative person in the world. You could have something truly life changing. But if you cannot develop a market resonant message that it articulates that to your audience, then you're going to continue to be a best kept secret that nobody knows about. Okay. So knowing that step 1 is to identify the gap, knowing that step 2 is to fill the gap, step 3 is to take that information we've identified, articulate that innovation with a market resonant message. Step 4 is to change the world, right? Those are the 4 steps that it comes down to. And real talk, there are marketers galore who will help you with step 3, pairing your fully understood innovation with a message that brings it to life. But actually identifying that innovation, nonetheless, pairing it with a data-driven approach that identifies that gap and effectively develops that innovation to create an instant solution where your message actually becomes natural, that's a whole different ballgame. And let's be real, people spend an entire lifetime identifying and developing that. And what can take a lifetime, my clients are able to create in a matter of months. How? It's what I call innovative gap methodology. So right now, to some capacity, you may be operating in your genius. How do I know this? Because your clients are getting outstanding, out of this world results. They're saying things like, I don't know how you do it, but it's truly amazing. And you look around and your quote unquote competitors and think, this is not the way. You are not doing it right. And you know it, you can see it, and you can't quite put it into words. Now, you just have this innate gift, this unmatched, unprecedented way of creating a change that leaves people shook and forever changed. The problem is You either can't quite put your finger on exactly what that innovative genius lies. You know you have it, you know it's working, but unless your clients experience it firsthand, it's hard to understand, nonetheless explain it.
Consider it done.
Or two, you have a basic understanding of what makes your method innovative, but you struggle to connect that with your audience's needs, creating that market innovation mismatch, leaving you wondering why they keep running to other solutions that obviously won't get them the resolution they want. Both are frustrating, and it can feel like you have this rare hidden treasure that would change the history of the world, but you don't have the key to unlock the treasure chest. It just sits there, unknown, unchanged, waiting to break free. Now, I'm going to be real. I spent years experiencing this firsthand. At the wee age of 16, I worked in a call center selling long distance to strangers. That's right. I did cold calling. Now, I was shy, I was awkward, and I had never sold anything before that point. I'd watched my dad and my brother, who were loud and outspoken and could sell anything to anyone, and thought, oh my gosh, that's never going to be me. So I got on call after call with people yelling at me, telling me to get a real job, telling me that I was a waste of their time. And honestly, I was ready to quit. This just wasn't my thing. And I sat down one day and I decided to maybe just shake things up. Instead of calling and selling long distance packages to strangers that either didn't have a need or didn't give a crap, I decided to take a different route. Now, I sat down and thought of all the reasons why someone would want a long distance package. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, what is she talking about? What is a long distance package? You are too young and you may not understand this, but just stick with me. It still makes sense. Okay. So there's 3 reasons why someone would want a long distance package. Reason number 1, price, right? Right now, the package they had was expensive. Now, this is what we were taught to sell to because we could undercut the lowest price and get them to switch. So we could create a temporary bargain shopped opportunity for them. But this also meant that these people would switch as soon as the next person called, promising a cheaper solution. Now, option number 2 was pressure. If you could push hard enough, some people would just say yes to get you off the phone or because you made them feel crappy enough. Now, so many of the men in my company use this tactic, and it made me cringe, and I knew I could never get behind this. I just couldn't do it, right? Not to mention that the people who use these pressure tactics would lose the sale when they transferred the caller to what we called the confirmation operator, because once that pressure was gone, they would run as fast as they could. Now, option number 3 was the innovation opportunity. Now, one of the things that made MCI, the company I worked for, a clear leader in the long distance arena was that they had tapped into both national and international calling abilities, and they used satellite business systems. Boring stuff, I know, but just hear me out. Now, what I found was that having those capabilities, having that innovation, that untapped innovation, meant that we had the ability to not only connect callers to more people around the world, but that they would have the best call clarity. Now, what I realized was that most people didn't even understand this. It was not something that was being shared. And realizing that innovation meant that I had a clear opportunity. I could now offer both national and international services and be able to speak to having the best call clarity. Now, in understanding that gap, that innovation opportunity, I quickly understood that for people who were making long distance phone calls internationally and nationally, people who were connecting with the loved ones that they couldn't see on a daily basis, and maybe even saying goodbye to a dying parent that really happened, this innovation mattered. And within 30 days, guys, I was closing almost every call I got on. I was hearing an easy yes again and again, and I became one of the top salespeople at 16 years old. As a girl with no sales experience, I was cashing in 3 to 4K paychecks, working part-time as a 16-year-old in high school. That was the start, the development of my innovative genius and my methodology that would later become the Easy Yes method. Now, it took me years after that to finally connect what I had done at 16 in a busy call center to create what I call innovative gap methodology. Connecting innovation to the desire and need of a high intent, ready to buy lead became an easy yes. This is the power of what I call the innovative gap methodology. So let's break down what that actually looks like. Now, the first step in creating your own innovative gap methodology is identifying and distilling your innovative genius. Now, real talk, my clients come to me knowing that they have something innovative. They don't know what it is. Some do, some don't, but they know that they will stop at absolutely nothing to change the way things are done. We use our proven system called Dynamic Framework that uses a science-backed and data-proven approach to identify exactly where your innovation point is and how it happens. So we can naturally take what happens on your own without even realizing it and put it into a systematic and fully articulated approach. Now imagine that for a second. Imagine that you're doing what you're doing right now, knowing that you're creating something life-changing, but not really being able to know what it is, and having someone else be able to come in and literally pull that out and say, this is where your innovation is. This is exactly how you do it. Here's why that's important. And being able to put it into a perfectly wrapped present that you can get to your audience because now you understand your genius. Okay. Now let's take it one step further to step 2, where we create your own innovative methodology. Now that we're able to identify where your genius lies, it's time for us to pair this with a fully articulated methodology that showcases the why. Now, what I want you to understand is the what is your innovative genius. This is what makes you really freaking amazing. What is your innovation, right? Now we need to understand the why. Why is this important, right? We need to do a deep dive into your market to identify the gap points so that we can pair that innovation with it. This allows us to skip the market research phase of bringing innovation to market and pairing it with the emergent need to the clearly defined innovation opportunity. That means that we're able to create a pattern interrupt where most innovation gets stuck in what we call ideation explanation into a seamless bridge that gives your audience an automatic resonance in understanding what you do, leaving them to chase you down. Imagine being able to do that. Imagine having a methodology that takes where the gap in the market space is. Even if you didn't fully understand that gap, we help you understand what that gap is, and we pair it with your innovation. So it creates this connection between two things that already exist, which leads us to step 3, what we call high intent messaging. Now, with your methodology in hand, it's time to share that revolution with the world. We use our high intent messaging approach to give you the core messaging that combines your genius with that identified gap into a repeatable message that can be shared again and again. It's like your messaging synopsis, your trailer to sharing your innovative methodology in a way that's quickly and clearly understood. It's with these 3 core components that my clients are able to bring their innovation to life, to create their own revolution where competition becomes irrelevant because there is none. Because when you bring innovation into a clearly articulated methodology, you create a bridge between change and market resonance. You become the only and unprecedented option. You stop fighting for attention and demand, and you start creating it. You become the market standard and the change that the world has been waiting for. Your innovative genius and gifts become fully recognized and shared. This is the power of innovative gap methodology. And this is exactly what I work with my clients to do. Now, I want to share with you exactly what that might look like if you were to work with me as well. There's 3 core factors that become the easy yes method. Now, in today's episode, I broke down for you how we actually do this through innovative gap methodology, understanding that genius, being able to clearly identify the gap in that market space, and then being able to put those 2 pieces together, bridging them together to create your fully articulated message. This is the power of innovative gap methodology. It's exactly why my clients are able to revolutionize industries, charge 5 to 10 times more, and be able to completely revolutionize a space where competition becomes irrelevant. It means that now you become the standard and people are chasing you down. Now, the second step in this process is how we actually bring it to market, how we bring this into a space where you can amplify it over and over and over again and meet people where they're at, creating an infinite sales opportunity. We use what we call the infinite sales highway. Put simply, this is your ability to be able to take that methodology we've created, that messaging, and put it into what we call a reverse marketing system. What happens is we speak to high intent leads and clearly articulate the value that you bring to them, disrupting their thought patterns and getting them to see you as the only and clear solution. Then we leverage a system that uses both high intent and mid intent pathways, a highway of sorts, where you have two different lanes to be able to support people on their buying journey process. We use our bingeable authority system, which is our Netflix inspired system, so that you can get those high intent leads buying within a matter of hours. And then we use our mid intent system called the one touch content system that allows you to meet people where they're at and take them on an immediate journey that takes 5 days to turn those leads into buying clients. Now, the third and final piece to this puzzle is what we call results and retention. Now, understanding that your client acquisition is just one piece of the puzzle, and it really comes down to how can you deliver on that promise and ultimately retain your clients. This is where results and retention comes into play. We focus on developing an offering and a delivery system that allows your clients to get those world-class results at scale without needing you every single step of the way. And this is exactly why the Easy Yes method is so freaking powerful, because it takes the three biggest concepts, the three biggest pieces of client acquisition and retention, and brings them together into a fully functioning system. So now we need to talk about those next steps. We spent today talking about innovative gap methodology, identifying how this allows you to completely make your competition irrelevant and really carve out a pathway in your space where you revolutionize the industry. And then I shared with you how the Easy Yes method brings this all together. So you have a fully functioning client acquisition and retention system so that you're able to not only get amazing clients, but get those amazing clients results at scale. Now, I want to send you to the next step. I want to share with you how we can take everything we've learned here and bring it to action. And this is where I'm going to invite you to what we call a blueprint call. A blueprint call is done with me personally. That's right. You're going to be talking to me. We sit down and I'm actually going to look at your business. I'm going to identify where the innovation is, or if you just need a client acquisition system, I'm going to share with you exactly where the opportunities are to optimize that process and system and how the Easy Yes method can work for you and in your business. This means that you and I are able to sit down, partner together, speak about where you're at, where you want to go, and I can show you exactly what's been missing for months, for years, for decades, okay? And then I'll show you exactly how I can partner with you on creating that change and building your own version of that revolution. So I want to invite you to book one of my calls at easyesleads.com/call. Check the show notes down below to get a link to that. And next week, we're going to dive back into the Disrupt series and take it one step further. But I would love to ask you a favor. I know that this was a provocative conversation we had, and you might not have enjoyed everything I had to say here. But what I would absolutely love is if you can send me a message on Instagram or on Facebook. You can go to Next Level Up CEO and just tell me your thoughts. Tell me what this left you thinking. Were you shook? Were you like, oh my gosh, yes, this is where I need to be? Or did you feel really freaking frustrated? Whatever it is, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your big takeaway was. And if you enjoyed this or it shook you to your core and you feel like other people need to hear this, I would love if you would share this with a friend, someone else who would find value in this. And as always, we love when you rate, share, and subscribe to the podcast or to the channel so you can be the first to get the newest and best trainings that we have to offer. But until next time, here's to keeping it real.